Everyone, you guys may know I'm not Terry Nolte. He's out today. His wife's having some surgery, so we wish the best for Patty. She goes through that. For Terry to take care of him. So as always, we'll start with the prayer and the pledge. So bow your head. Lord, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the community that we live in. We ask you that you would bless this community, that you bless us as we do the work of the community. Give wisdom and guidance to our commission as they make decisions that affect our customers and our community. Also for the staff and all of our employees, give them wisdom and guidance. Keep our employees safe, Lord, as they're out there, especially on these hot days. Watch over them. We'd ask that you would be with Patty today as she's going through some surgery, and Terry, and watch over them and provide your healing for her. We ask that you would, we thank you for this food. We ask you to bless it for the nourishment of our bodies. Bless those who have prepared it, and bless us as we do your work. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any changes, modifications to the agenda this morning? Okay, we'll proceed the discussion agenda. The first one up, I guess, is the production, operations, and maintenance reorganization. That's mine. I'll give you a little bit of background. As you know, John Allen, who is 27 years of experience at the Elmer Smith Station, is retiring effective August 1st. And as we do with all our positions now, we look at each position that comes open in light of the future of coal-fired generation, the future of the plant, and decide how we can best move forward. And with this position, what we're recommending is that we effectively eliminate the production operations manager position that John's been holding, and that we combine operations and maintenance into one group. Brad Houghton is currently operations or the maintenance manager, so we would combine all those functions under Brad as a production operations and maintenance manager. A couple other changes that we recommend with that. Brad has been overseeing directly our electrical and instrumentation group since our E&I supervisor resigned about a year ago, and we haven't backfilled that job. So to facilitate his new duties, we are proposing to move the electrician and instrument technician groups under our maintenance planner. He's very capable of supervising those groups. And then our our electronic systems technician group, that's our group that does a lot of our IT work, as well as plant controls and environmental monitoring systems. They would go into our technical services group under Russ Evans, which is actually when we created that group back in the early 90s where they started out. So that's kind of an overview of the reorganization that we are proposing, and the details of the memo. If you have questions, I'll be happy to address them.
In light of all the changes that's been occurring out there, what's the morale like?
It's not good. As you know, we don't like uncertainty as human beings, and there's a lot of uncertainty with the folks out the plant. One thing we'll see on the financials I would like to mention is, we came in about $2 million, round numbers, under budget, our O&M budget this year, and that's due to the great work that those guys are doing, the management staff and all our employees. The morale is, we have these meetings and we look at all these numbers. We say, okay, we're going to shut Unit 1 down and we're going to get out of the coal-fired business. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to look at the numbers and go where the financials lead us to do the best for the utility. But when I go back to the plant, we've got 90 people that affect them directly. And so I think about that when I go back. Even with all that uncertainty, they're doing a great job. And morale could be a lot better. It's just because of the uncertainty, I think. They understand the world around them is changing, and they're have to change with it. But they're doing a great job, and I'm really proud of them. And I hope you folks on the commission are as well, because they've done a good job with a lot of changes. And I really think that they deserve a lot of the credit for the way we perform in, just it's like you're in a whirlwind for them. We go back and say, okay, well, what's going to happen? Well, we don't know, but we're still moving forward with these studies. So that's probably a long-winded answer to your question, but that's kind of how it feels out there.
Move for approval.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is CSR 2, Michael?
Basically, give you a little background and history, we have 4 customer service rep positions downstairs, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The one position is the switchboard, the one you see when you come in. The 2 is the position we'll talk about today, is more of our cash position, and it's evolving into more of a customer banking position. Then you have the customer service rep 3s, which is our phone room, and the 4s, which are our front service desk. So basically, the customer service rep 2 position has been evolving over the last 2 or 3 years. Less of a forward-facing customer service function, and more into the banking, the backside, the receivables piece that we do downstairs. So when we looked at the position, number one, we don't believe the title matches the current duties. So we wanted to change the title to a customer accounts receivable specialist. Basically, and when we looked at that, we kind of lined it up with our payables position within the organization, receivables being on one side, payables being on the other. We have a position that's the accounts payable specialist, so we use kind of the same nomenclature. But in doing so, anytime you're reviewing one of those positions, we went back and did the 2 things, worked with HR to look at the 15-point factors, the job factors of evaluating that position, but to also look at the internal hierarchy. And we believe that position matches up with the payable side of the organization. And so we wanted to move it from a pay grade 2 to a pay grade 4. And we were recommending those 2 things to you, that we change the title to more accurately reflect the duties, and to move it to where we believe it matches within the organizations to have receivables and payables in the same pay grade. Those specialist clerk type of work. Any questions you might have about that, we'll answer.
Make a motion for approval. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up is Chris with the home networking service and pricing.
Yeah, well, probably 90% of the customer service calls that we receive are related to Wi-Fi signal. They call in and say, hey, your internet isn't working, and then, of course I'm referring to home right now. Your internet isn't working, or it's slow, and when we go and take a look at it, the access point that we provide free of charge is within the home. However, they're trying to access it clear across the other side of the home, or in the basement, or some other far, far away spot that access point just cannot reach. And to date, we, to help them out, we have installed some equipment to help facilitate the signal getting there as a good faith effort for customer service. But what we would like to do is actually productize that service and charge a $9.99 installation charge, as well as a monthly recurring $9.99 charge to have that piece of equipment in their home to help facilitate them getting that signal. Many of you probably heard of range extenders that fulfill a similar role. You can get those at Best Buy and other places. The thing about range extenders, though, is that they are not very secure, and that we don't have remote management of them. So if a customer wants some support from us, and really this particular service is going to be supported by our broadband specialist. This is one of their core responsibilities, is as they're out there helping the customer resolve any of their issues, their goal is to also try to upsell these services where appropriate. So that's what I'm seeking today, is approval to go ahead and just basically productize the service that we're kind of offering a little bit today. Any questions?
Is that particular piece of equipment, is that installed switch or Wi-Fi?
What it does is it works with the existing box, and it's a similar version of that, a little cheaper version of that, and they work in conjunction with each other.
Not a switch in a separate.
No,
Separate Wi-Fi.
no, and not another connection. They all work off of the same connection. And very shortly, the vendor that we work with will be offering more of a mesh Wi-Fi service, where all of these boxes will work more in unison than just having one extension point like this one.
Is there not a box that you can get that would extend further in the house to start with?
No, not really, no. They all pretty much have a certain signal level that they go to. And here's the other issue too, is you have 2 different networks that we're offering wirelessly. You have a 2.4 gigahertz network and a 5 gigahertz network. The 5 gigahertz network is what supports the 802.11ac, or the faster speeds. Well, because of that, it has a shorter range because of those faster speeds. The 2.4 is a little bit further, however, it's subject to more interference, like cordless phones and other things that use wireless signals. So really, we feel like it's in our customer's best interest if we install another piece of equipment at their request and manage it, the way that we do with the current service.
Is that something they could buy?
No, not, they can buy a range extender, which would sort of fulfill this role, but again, there's security issues around that. We would not be able to manage that, help them troubleshoot it, so there are certainly benefits for having us have our equipment in-house.
What are the people who offer this service, what are other services from other vendors?
So
What
similar
are
like
they
a,
doing? Yeah, some of them that's kind of.
many of them don't, many of them tell the customer that they need to go find a solution on their own. And the other solution is the range extenders at Best Buy. They'll tell them, just go buy a range extender at Best Buy, you'll be fine. To us, that's not providing that level of service that we most talked about.
On the current customer level, how many do you predict you need?
I would say we already have 5 of them that are waiting for approval of this. So essentially, no, 5 actual customers. Oh, as far as the take rate overall, I estimate maybe 10-15%. A lot of it depends on the size of their home, the construction of the home, because the homes that have that sort of metal mesh inside the walls with the plaster, that does not propagate Wi-Fi signal very well. So even though it may be a smaller dwelling, it may have some issues on the farther side. But I can guarantee you that the access point that we have in the home today is every bit as good as what anybody else offers as a primary access point.
So is there a way we could sell them that piece of equipment?
Well, no, because we would still have to manage it, take care of it. There's no, the equipment and the vendor that we work with, it's very specific to our services. They couldn't go out and buy this themselves. It has to be managed by our network. That's the benefit we think to the customers, that we're able to manage it. Again, though, they could go out and buy a Wi-Fi extender on their own and just plug that in, if that's what they choose to do.
Does that piece of equipment cost them?
About between $60 and $80, depending upon the version. And we would still own it, of course. We'll collect those if we have a disconnect.
If this is where most of your complaints, that you said, are coming from, in future installations that we're moving into now, is there a way are we going to be including that or offering that option to them at the very time that we install the basic?
We could, if it's very clear that perhaps it's a larger home, and it's very clear that they say, well, I want it. The customer, in a lot of cases, it would make more sense to have the access point installed in a certain place in the home, but the customer is always right. No, I want it right here. It's got to be right here. This is where I want it. Okay. Well, our installers can already see that. Well, if they're all the way over there, they're probably going to have some issues here. We could offer it up at that time to say, look, as we're completing the installation, we could check the signal level there and say, if you're going to be over here doing some work, you may have some issues with this. Would you like us to go ahead and install this particular piece of equipment and subscribe to our home networking service? Very shortly too, I'll be coming before you with a commercial version of this, because we are getting some demand from our commercial customers to do more of not only providing a Wi-Fi hotspot, but also content filtering. They want content filtering. They don't want to have to manage it themselves, and so that is an area that I think we'll be able to productize in the future too.
You don't come down here and tell me why I can't get on your Wi-Fi?
That was no joke.
No, that's no joke.
Yeah.
I've been trying to ever since I've been here.
You can't get on this Wi-Fi here?
We'll get access,
Oh.
get access.
I don't manage this one, so.
I see the computer, we'll let y'all know.
Well, I think it's a good idea. I make a whole lot of proof.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you.
It looks like it says we're access, but it doesn't work. Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next on our discussion agenda is reserve policy update. I believe Lynn is going to take that.
The financial reserve policy is a requirement under the Utility Commission government policy. We have to report to you all annually on what our reserve funds look like. So that's why the table is to show you the different funds that we look at for defining our overall cash reserve levels, or we make sure they're reasonable, that we're following the bond covenants, that we're in compliance. And I'm glad to say that all of our funds are in compliance, and we have a surplus above the minimum. The minimum is established as the bond covenant amount. Our target of cash on hand is 200 days for the electric system as well as the water system, and the electric system, we're at 281 days of operating cash, and on the water system, we're at 221 days. So we're doing good there. Now next year, they're both expected, the fiscal year 2018 budget to decline, and that's based on your cash drop decreasing based on increasing expenses and depending on how your revenue comes out. So that's what we've got budgeted for the decrease next year, and I think there's an outage at the plant next year that affects the electric side. I did make some changes to the policy, and it was basically from springing from the 85 ordinance, electric ordinance, to the 2002 ordinance. We eliminated the references to the coal reserve fund that we had to have previously that we no longer have to have, and also the Station 2 facilities operation maintenance account was eliminated, and then I added the verbiage for the adding the telecommunications general fund account to be part of our operation contingency account. But that's basically the only changes I've made to the policy. The other item is we have a topics report that we pull monthly, we can pull monthly to look at the cash balances and monitor. That's our exhibit B to a financial reserve policy. And I've struck through the items that are going to be eliminated based on springing that ordinance. So for next year going forward. Is there any questions on that, on the policy or the table?
Okay, the only changes is what you underlined in order.
That's right.
Will you approving those changes as well as
That's right.
approving the numbers that you've given them to us?
That's right.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Next, we have the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, on our performance reports, Chris is back up with the telecom update.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'd like to mention on the personnel items, we have some pretty good people retiring,
We do.
and we want to really thank them for their service. You know,
We surely do. A lot of intellectual property.
Yeah.
Got about 56 years retired.
Okay, the first thing I want to address right off the bat is this big red bar right here. Red's never good, right? However, there is a specific reason for that. A business that as part of their business model, they acquired point-to-point circuits from us to serve their customers and bring it back to an aggregation point. That business had failed to make it and went under. However, all of those customers quickly converted from point-to-point circuits with that other entity, with us, through to that other entity, to our internet service. So that's why you see this offset. So there's the primary reason for those disconnects, and then there's a reason for that upshoot in installs. Point-to-point's being disconnected, and dedicated internet services being installed. And then we just had a couple other basic disconnects. A couple other businesses didn't make it, or we did lose one to a competitor because of a cheaper rate that they found. And I think we'll be seeing a little more of that, which I will work with the commission on. As far as commercial rates go, it seems that there's a little bit more of a rate adjustment taking place in the market. We've always been somewhat at a premium level, but I think we're starting to edge our way out of the market.
When you upgrade a circuit, what do you mean exactly when you say upgrade?
So an existing, upgrade.
Somebody going to a faster speed?
Dark blue is good,
Yeah.
and then, of course, these are the best, the new ones. What a dark blue represents is a customer who, say, was at a 10 meg service,
Yeah.
upgraded to a 40 meg service.
Okay.
So they took what they had and improved it to some degree.
Okay.
There's our internet bandwidth commitment. Here I'll explain this. We had a customer here that came to us, a 10 meg customer, and said, guys, we're reorganizing some things internally in our network. Can you temporarily work with us to upgrade to 100 meg service, knowing that in a few months we'll have to turn that back down? And of course, again, providing the customer service that we do, we said, absolutely, we'll do whatever it is that we can do to assist you with that. And so that's what took place there, was an installation and then backing it out once they were done with that. One other thing to mention on bandwidth too is that most of you are aware of Nikki Hayden's passing. One thing that we were able to help our customers with was there was a specific customer that wanted to ensure that that event, that the actual funeral itself could be streamed internationally. So we worked with them to temporarily provide an upgrade to their service to facilitate all of that. So it's nice that we were able to help out something like that and have it be an international benefit to folks. There's our voice services still plodding along. It has been a little quiet here towards the end of spring, early summer, but I have every reason to believe that we will continue to grow our voice services there. I know we already have a few installs this month.
Chris, before you move on,
Yeah.
out of commercial, is it my understanding that we did not get Alerica as a customer?
I don't really understand what happened with Alerica, to be honest. I have had several conversations with folks over there. They have always assured me they've passed on the appropriate information to the right parties. You know, they've started operations and we really have not had any real conversation with them.
So is there a way to actually follow up and find out why?
I'm trying.
It'd be nice to know the answer to that, if it's our pricing, our service, or offerings, or what.
And I'm definitely trying, and what I believe long-term too, it would be that they would come to us, if they didn't want for the primary, to always have some sort of secondary backup to that, to their original service. So yes, I'm exploring all the avenues that I have. I think Terry is doing that as well. So we will somehow find a way, who they did choose, and then if we have an opportunity to perhaps be a backup, if they would. Yeah, no, I was not happy with it. Here are the numbers on our fiber to home initiative. So still plodding along here. The summer, this quarter so far is off to a slow start, but I think that's a lot to do with summer vacations and things of that nature. And then I have a summary over here, just to jump to this right away. Here's what our penetration rates are. We're actually now in the high 24% for our original pilot area. So that's very good. If you drive down that neighborhood, think about that. 1 in every 4 homes has our internet service there. And then phase 2 right now we're at 8, creeping towards 9%. And really we only launched that area towards very late March, early April, so it's still very, very early there. Thank you for bonding approval. As you know, we had the first reading with the city the other day, and the second reading is August 1st. We have the materials already on order, so we can start to begin construction in October. And then, yes, this is not within the second quarter technical, but I did want to make folks aware that we did install our 200 fiber to home customer right that next day, July 1st. So thanks so much. Any questions?
It looks like if the trend continues, like the 200 customers you have, that 50 meg continues to be that big of a sweet spot, that ought to be our combined effort of pricing to target that group.
Yeah, 87% of them right now. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the fiscal year 17 financial report. I believe that the full presentation is included for your reference, and Lynn is going to give us a summary.
We decided not to go over 47 slides, but the more discussion of that, you can view that as a reason. I have a financial summary for the fiscal year 2017. Consolidated electric systems and operating revenue was up 2.7% above budget, mostly driven by higher than budget wholesale market prices achieved. Generation was up 4.2% above budget for ESS, and the retail load was slightly below budget, about 0.9% for the year. The operating expenses were slightly below budget at 0.6%. Net income for the electric system was $17.9 million, and of course this is before the city transfer of $9.1 million. So with a resulting positive change to net position of $8.8 million. Our cash investment balances exceeded budget by 16.1%, mainly due to slower construction spending than anticipated, and operating funds increased due to less spending and higher revenues. Operating days cash on hand is 281 days before the city dividend, or before we have that restriction on the coal reserve that's going away. But after all, both those things, the city dividend and the cash dividend and the coal reserve, our net days cash on hand is 246 days of operating days cash, and that's what the rating agencies focus on. Debt service ratio has decreased to 1.8 times of our revenue, net revenues, from 3.8 times, and this is a result of our 2013 debt restructuring. We're back to the full payments on our debt now of approximately $26 million a year. We restructured lower to like $10 million back in 2013, 14, 15, 16. We ended the fiscal year with an under recovery of the ECA balance due from customers to OMU of $11,521,754. The water system, the sales of the water system were up 0.9% above budget, revenues were 3.4% above budget, with expenses 2.7% above budget, driven by higher production, purification, and G&A expenses. For the water system, the net loss was $44.7 thousand versus a budgeted loss of $259,000. And that's prior to the city transfer of $310,000. So our resulting net position decreased by $355,000, and that's indicative of needing a water rate increase soon. Cash and investment balances for the water system are on target with budget, with the exception of the construction project funds, which were less than budget, with no bond issue occurring as we budgeted for 17. Hopefully that water bond will be issued this fall. The operating days of cash on hand has increased to 221 days versus the prior year of 187 days due to operating cash balances have increased with, as revenues were increased, and I guess we had better weather last year. Debt service ratio has increased 3 times net revenues from 2.28 times as a result of the 2016 bond refunding we did last May. So in summary, the total electric system net income was $4.7 million better than budget, and the water system was $214,000 above budget. And then we have the summary sheets that look like this, that show you the revenues and expenses come down to the net income, which you add back depreciation and interest. On page 2, you get to the brings you back to the cash flow side of the business. So you can see what our general fund electric system increased 16%, and the water system increased 31% for our cash. And that's all I have to say on that. If you have any questions.
Okay. Terry's report is attached for your review. And then on the monthly financial report, stay with Lynn on that.
I did email it out to you since we didn't have the snapshot ready at the end of June for the May final one, so I went ahead and posted on the portal so you have a place to reference that.
Can you ask something about Terry's report?
Sure.
I'm just curious, what is this recent heat wave done to wholesale prices?
They're up.
Is it up?
Yeah, and this week's been pretty strong, so. Prices yesterday, actually for today, were $59. So.
Okay. The consolidated net income is up 67.5% better than budget for the month of June. On the retail system, we're up 63% better than budget. The megawatt hour sales are 4.5% better than budget on the retail load, and 28.6% below budget on the wholesale load. On the wholesale system, the net income's up 28.4% better than budget because the pricing was better. Telecommunications, we're better than budget by $23,000, and on the water system, we're better than budget on net income for $122,000. So we're starting off the year pretty good. Any questions?
Okay, don't think there are any items for presented for a future meeting. Did review the governance items with Terry yesterday, and I think they're all meets the requirements, so unless there's any questions on those.
And I didn't see, is there no work session in August?
There is no work session in August. So our next meeting would be the 17th of August. I think that's all we had for the this part of the meeting. Is there anything else, Mr. Chairman?
Motion to go closed session, read the rules.
I will read it. To go into closed session to discuss personnel matters pursuant to KRS 61-810-1F. pending litigation pursuant to KRS 68-810-1C, and matters which are required to be discussed in privacy pursuant to KRS 61-810-1K, including but not limited to KRS 61-878-1CI, KRS 61-872-6, and KRS 45-A-370.
So moved.
Aye.
There you go.
We can vote on that?
I'll vote.
Aye.